You have entered the black hole of real estate, where we give you news, industry, and strategies for real estate. I'm your host, Ron Wysakarski, and now that you've entered the black hole of real estate, we are quite certain that you probably aren't going to want to leave. So here's what's got me fired up for this week in episode 19. The condo sales reports are out, and sales absolutely soared in the July reports. I'm going to talk to you about how to beat multiple offers, and then at the end, we're going to talk about having a little bit of a faith opportunity when you're renting out some property. So let's start off with the sales stats. The month of July, the number of sales is up 40% compared to the month of June. So it's a gigantic increase. And the sales volume, well, looking back towards last year, it's up 83%. And that's a big product of what's going on with the median sales price in our market. You know, looking at 2019, the median sales price was $199. It clocked in this year at $245. Now, 119 sales last year compared to 187 this year, gigantic jump. That's 57% up in the number of units. You know, what does this mean to you? It means that condos are definitely selling at a brisk pace, faster than last year when there was no COVID and things were normal. And we're making a gigantic rebound, probably even bigger than the one we predicted, which we predicted a giant rebound, but maybe it's double giant. Long story short is what we're seeing is dramatic increases in the number of condos being sold as well as in the price. And I don't see anything to stop it. You know, right now our median sales price is kicking in at $245, and that's a really good number to look at. You know, what else impresses me is that the year-to-date sales last year was $897, so just below $900, and this year $886. So despite COVID and all the effects that it might have had, we're within 11 sales of last year's total. And with the numbers catapulting forward, there's a real possibility that 2020 is going to be better than 2019, which, let's not forget, 2019 was a banner year, one of the best years ever in real estate. Somehow the real estate market has not only survived but thrived during the COVID environment. And at this point, maybe we should just stop talking about COVID, because it has no effect on the real estate market to date. It has none. If anything, it's been a catalyst. And maybe there's a piece of truth within that, is if we're not vacationing as often and traveling as often and doing other things as often that are outward, we've got a lot of time to look online and pick out properties and find our own, piece of the sun or vacation spots, maybe a little bit of social distancing by just buying your own vacation spot. And so maybe some people have reallocated the money. Maybe that's been a part of this catalyst. Regardless, the market is unaffected. Oh, except for this one thing that we call inventory. If there's one thing that can stop this market, it's absolutely the inventory. And right now it is down 16%. And that's a lot of condos that aren't available for people to purchase. So we are getting to the point where the supply is just a few months supply. I think it's gone from 5.4 down to maybe 4 months of supply. That's the number they used to talk about how many months of inventory are left. You know, if nothing came on the market, how long would it take to sell it? About 4 months, and it's declining at a pretty rapid rate, unlike what we've seen in quite some time. So if sales are up and interest rates are super low and the inventory is low, these are all things that indicate that there will be upward pricing pressure. There's no reason to think the prices are coming down because the numbers say so. And there's nothing predictive in the future that forecasts that would be a downward pressure on price. Now, what could happen? Well, lots of condos coming on the market and being put up for sale simultaneously. That I guess that's a possibility, but I don't know what's going to cause that many people to put their condos on the market at the same time in the current environment. I don't see it. So right now, sales are booming, and it's likely to continue. So if you're looking for a condo, you're probably in some of these situations looking at multiple offers. And that's the next thing we want to talk about. You see, the multiple offer situation is alive and well, especially in Florida and in this area in particular. We're seeing a number of strategies being in place that are causing this. So the first is, if you're a seller and you live in the property or use it frequently, you want to sell it, you are likely wanting to sell it quickly and limit the number of people coming through the home or the condo, just as a safety precaution. And what we're finding is that if we're pricing it a little bit below where we expect it to sell, and maybe the owners that are in that property, maybe they take a few days off and they go away for a couple days, or go visit family, or go to a hotel, someplace safe. And then they can get a bunch of showings through in the first few days, create multiple offer situations because you priced it a little bit below where the market is, and they can have it sold in a couple of days. And their home is no longer an incubator. It's a lot safer to do it that way. So we're using the strategy very, very successfully. A couple weeks back, we had a property, had 6 offers and sold for 10,000 above the listing price. I personally was involved in a transaction over the weekend that had multiple offers, 4 offers, and we had one of them. And we were told that the next day, Monday, that all offers, highest and best, would have to be received by 5 p.m. and that one of the properties had an escalator clause. Now, we know that an escalator clause is something that causes any competing offers to be bested by the escalator clause. So if the property was worth 300,000 and that was the list price, and there were several offers at 300,000, if one had an escalator clause to defeat the other offers by automatic $1,000 increase up to a certain price, say 305, then that would be a way to defeat it. So if all the offers were the same and one had an escalator clause and they all said 300, the escalator clause would kick it to 301 and they would automatically get the property, as long as that's what the game that was being played. Now, in this case, there were some other contingencies in that offer, which it's what they're willing to share. We got super aggressive. So on Sunday, when we looked at the property, we made our offer expire Sunday night. So the terms were different automatically because the other ones were all written through Monday. So they had to act on that contract. So we ended up with a superior offer, and we gave them only a tight window of a couple of hours to make a response. Our offer became superior in a lot of ways. And number one, we were aggressive on price. We knew that this was the right property for the family, and we went over the list price because we felt that it was worth more than the asking price. And there was, and in finding out that there was a few things of condition, mainly just a roof that was older and would eventually need replacement. But a 15-year-old roof wouldn't necessarily need replacement today, but 5 or 10 years down the road it could. So same with some of the utilities within the house. So what they did was they priced it below, factoring in that they would negotiate. Someone would not negotiate on that. It left room for us to swoop in and grab this property. So we ended up with an over the list price offer with a super short timeline, and we were able to get out from underneath the other 3 competing offers. And if we'd have let it go to today at 5 o'clock and competing offers and highest and best, who knows how many more offers might have come in today. So by being aggressive and locking up that property with, working together on this, that's what made this happen. So if you're in a competing offer situation, a low inventory, think about escalator clauses, think about aggressive offers and short timelines. That's a path to success for some, not for all. You have to keep in mind an aggressive offer that's super low, all that's going to do is cause you to make an offer that's way too low with a short timeline. You'll be writing the next offer in the morning competing, and now you might harm your chances of getting picked the next day, because if you were the low ball the day before and you were breathing heavy down their neck and pushing them to act on an offer on a Sunday night when most people aren't working, only to come up with a low ball offer, and then you come back the next day with a different one, that seller may not want to work with you. So there's dangers to these strategies. If you're going to be aggressive, then you need to make sure that your offer matches that aggression in a way that the seller is actually going to take 3 other offers off the table. So it can happen. You just have to play it smart. So the last thing I want to talk about is having just a little bit of faith. I can tell from a personal story that friends of mine closed on a house on Friday. And why is that important? Well, we met 5 years ago, and I had a rental property that had multiple suitors. We had 6 different people wanted this property, and it was in a hot neighborhood with a great school district, and it was at a value price point. I would say, for a 3-bedroom home at the time, it was going at $1,300 or $1,400, and now that's $1,800 and $1,900. At the time, I priced it appropriately to get a lot of people hot on it to get the best application, and we did it. What's interesting is a family called me, and it wasn't the best connection on the phone, but they were 3 hours away, and they were going to jump in the car to see this property. And I didn't want to say I discouraged them, but I said, look, I've already got 6 people want the property. And, there's great applications in there. So I can't guarantee that if you drive 3 hours one way and have to drive home that night, that's a long time in the car for you and your family. I can't guarantee anything. Well, they came up, they took a chance, saw the property, they loved it, and they wanted to lease it on the spot. And I told them, I said, you can fill out the application, but if there's anything on the application that I should be concerned about, just tell me about it now. And at that point, I learned that they were victims of identity theft. And I'm thinking, well, geez, that's kind of a red flag. So I couldn't pull a credit report, and the background check might have been compromised. So I've got 6 solid applications with great credit and incomes, and these families also wanted the property. And yet I looked at this family that had come up all this way, and he was going to be a professor, new job at a local college. And there were some mitigating factors along the way that caused me to believe that, they might be legitimate victims of identity theft, and they probably need a hand here. And someone was going to have to step up and take a chance on this family. My wife and I, what we did was we sat down and talked about it. So look, at the end of the day, we got 6 great applications. We can just disappoint them right now and move on to the next ones, and it probably won't affect us too much. And then we thought about that family that needed that help. And chances are nobody was going to do it. I don't even know how they're going to look at properties driving 3 hours one way to come to this area while still living in, the southern part of Florida. We made a decision that day to take a chance on them. And literally, it was probably just a handshake at that time, because you could shake hands back then, that they promised to be model tenants and to pay on time, and that we would make a good decision by choosing them. And they just appealed to us, and we agreed. Over those 5 years, they actually would pay early. House is always in great condition. They did most of the repairs. The repairs happen in a house over the course of 5 years, most on their own. And we created this great relationship of just communicating. They came to me earlier this year and talked about renewing the lease. And I said, you've been great tenants. So I said, but the market is such that the interest rates are low. Maybe how's your credit? Maybe you could buy something. I'd love to help you with that. Take the next step. We found out that through their due diligence and 5 years in time and tenure as a professor, that their credit was restored, and we got them pre-qualified. And last Friday, they bought a house of their own. And it's not lost on me that over the last 5 years, I've gone from somebody that absolutely needed a chance, that probably got passed over or could have been passed over by most people. And let's face it, we could easily have just moved on and never looked back. But how rewarding is it that we were able to see them put themselves back together on the credit side and save money diligently, week after week, month after month, paid on time, got the money for the down payment, got pre-qualified with a great lender, and found a home that's perfect for them. And it's funny is the house they found is probably about a few minutes from where I live right now. So we get to continue to be friends. The running joke with them is right now, it says, the only difference right now is we still get to be great friends. The only difference is when you write a check at the end of the month, you just write it to your new mortgage company instead of to me. I did let them know that they really felt separation anxiety. They could absolutely still write me a check every month, but it was no longer required. But we would take it if they wanted to. And it's been a lot of fun to work with them. And it's just excited to see that, the American dream is alive and well. And they struggled, and they fought, and they were able to do it. And I couldn't be more excited. It's probably one of the most exciting closings I ever had. I got to be involved in, as a friend and as a consultant. But they did it, and I can't think of anything better than to top off episode 19 with this a great success story, the American dream becoming a reality. This is Ron Wysakarski with the Black Hole of Real Estate.